Hi there, and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Robin Fafming, and we talk here all about solar energy. What is it? Is it right for you? What's the cost? We cover everything. My intent, as I am here, is to speak to you as though I am in your home. I am sitting at your kitchen table across from you, and we are just simply having a conversation about solar. Now, listen, today is going to be a little bit different. I feel a little bit different about how I want to present myself to you today. So, before we get started, again, I am Robin Fafme. My business is Better Me, Better You, solar energy sales and project management. That means I sell solar panels. And if you and when you buy from me, I will stay connected with your project all the way through to completion. So we're going to get back around to solar, but I want to talk to you today about something a little bit different, and I'm going to tie it in, and we're going to come back to solar. So, what is it exactly that we want to talk about? What is it that I am bringing with me specifically for you today? What that is an idea. I want you to consider what it would be like if your passion found you. You know, there are a lot of people out here in the world, in your neighbors, your friends, your family. Life is moving very, very fast right now. And because it's moving so fast, we dibble and we dab in so many different things. And, for some, it's just all about making the money. For others, it's about really, truly being in service to humanity. And for some, they just cannot seem to find their way. This is important to hear because for the past maybe 30 years, maybe late 80s, the 90s, throughout the 2000s, and even where we are today, you will hear people talk to you about, oh, what is it that you want to do in your life? What are you going to do? What have you been doing? And then they'll use this buzzword. Well, find your passion. What is it that you really love to do? Find your passion. Every decade has had buzzwords, and passion and purpose have been buzzwords that have been consistent, for the past 30 years. I'm sure of that. In that, finding your purpose and your passion, I'm a very literal person, so sometimes I need help really understanding what that means and how to do it. For a while, you're working, you're in corporate America, or maybe you're not in corporate America. You're just trying to make life work. For me, I was in corporate America. I worked in the hair care industry. I worked for Johnson Products. Some of you may remember Classy Curl and Gentle Treatment. I was in the business during the time that African American owned hair care companies were making transitions into really big positions. And we were the how do you say, we were the buzz. We were the ones who were just pouring money into these industries. So I've done that. I've written hair color books. I've worked for Clairol. I actually taught hair color classes. I've done a million different things, all the time thinking that I'm going to find my purpose at some point. The reason it's important for me to share this now, because I know somebody is going to hear this and it's going to make a difference for you. But for me, I want you to hear this. Some of us are born into this world and we come in doing our work. We come in knowing and understanding who we are, what we want to be, how we want that to look, on into planning for retirement. It doesn't matter. You may be a scientist, you may be somebody who is a professor, you may be in education, but you know exactly what you want to do, and you've known it from early ages. Some of you have known it from the time you were 3 or 4 or 5. Some of you figured it out by the time you were 12 and 15, but you got there. And then you have those people who are like me. All right. Now, listen, I am a multi talented person. I am blessed and gifted in a way that I have been able to do a variety of things and do them well. But I was still always chasing a dream and chasing passion. Um, some things I did, I thought it was my passion. But I have since found out that it was just really something to do. I have studied with Les Brown. I have walked on hot coals with Tony Robbins. I have participated in Native American sweat lodges with Chief Crow Dog of the Lakota Nation. And I have had a multitude of guides and teachers and people in my life. I have attended 1,001 workshops and seminars, trying to figure it out. But the one thing that I found out about, workshops and seminars, the person who is leading that. Now, this was true for me. It may not be true for you, but it seemed as though I really fully understood the information. I could always leave and go away and come up with a plan, but it kind of felt like something was left out. I don't know if they left it out on purpose or maybe they didn't leave anything out. I just didn't get it. So, from that standpoint, it still kind of left me in a void. I was able to make a good living at an early age and, just not being well educated enough to know how to manage money and, make things work. I'm saying this because it's my life that I am talking about here. I'm not talking about anybody else. Although some of you may hear me now and you can relate. I really hope you can relate because heart to heart, I know that there is someone who needs to hear what I'm talking about. It got so real for me that there was a point in my life where I just really wanted to give it up. You know, I went to our family home and no one was there. But when I got out of the car, I just realized I was tired. I was tired of working, tired of putting forth so much energy, tired of just life. I felt like I deserved more. And the more that I wanted at that time was to just transition on out of here and go to the good life, walk around heaven all day. For me, that would have been perfect in that moment. So I had a conversation, and the conversation was with myself. And of course, it was with God. I remember when I stepped out of the car, I said to myself, I'm really, really, really tired. and I really just want to leave this place. And then I heard a voice say to me, well, considering the fact that you cannot afford to pay for your own funeral, that may not be possible right now. So I'm like, okay, I didn't have money to pay for my funeral. And I'm like, okay, well, this is someone who really knows me, really knows me. So I'm like, no problem. My family will put me away. The voice came back and said, your family does not deserve that kind of inconsiderate behavior from you. That was pretty harsh. Now, mind you, I'm talking about my life. I'm talking about my experience. So please don't try to analyze what I'm saying right now because it's my story. I'm just simply sharing it with you right now. So the voice said, your family doesn't deserve that kind of inconsiderate behavior from you. I was like, okay, no problem. Then just let me be a missing person. You know, things have to be really interestingly challenging for you to want to be a missing person. But the voice came back and said, no, your family won't be able to handle that. So I thought for a moment and then I said, so are you saying to me that I have to give up paradise right now? And the voice was almost like, yeah, it's not time for that. So I went home that night, or at least to the place where I was living that night. And as I began to undress myself and prepare for bed, I promise you, my word is bond to God that with every piece of clothing that I took off, it really felt like weights being dropped from my body. Every piece, it was a weight, it was a weight, it was a weight that came off. And so I said, okay, God, if that's how you're going to be, then I'm done. I went to bed and I stayed in the bed for 3 weeks. Okay. I stayed in the bed literally for 3 weeks. Of course, I got up to take care of necessary things, but I promise you, I almost believe that had I been living in my own place, I might not have gotten up for anything. But there was a part of me that knew that it was inconsiderate to abuse another person's living space like that. So I had to get up to do necessary things. Long story short, I got up and I did what I needed to do. It took me a little bit of time to get it back together, but I got up, did what I needed to do. Then I got married. So I got married, then I had a daughter. So now my focus is my marriage and taking care of my daughter. And how can you chase a passion, when you are involved in taking care of a family? Some people can do it, but it wasn't something that I could do at that particular time, but it never ever left me. So another thing that I kind of skipped over prior to all of this, it was maybe about 1985. I was driving and I heard a voice in my right ear, as it always is audible in my ear. And I trust my spirit, and that's how it communicates with me. But while I was driving, I heard these words: you will speak and people will listen. I had no idea really what that meant at the time. So, I started chasing that idea. That was when I studied with Les Brown and a few other people. And during that process, you go and you learn how people actually get into the jobs and the environments and the situations that they want to be in, to get noticed, to do these kinds of things. But let me tell you what I found out about me. What I found out is that I did not have a gimmick. And I'm not saying that these people have gimmicks, but they have something that they're able to translate, something that they're able to sell. I had not developed my talents enough to really understand what I would give to anybody. So it didn't work for me. Becoming a speaker, at that time did not work for me. And it was not because I did not put forth the effort. I did, but it just wasn't the timing. I am so honest and sincere, and I like people to be honest and sincere with me. So there was no way that I could separate myself from a stage presence and then come off and be who I really am. So I didn't have a gimmick, and it did not work for me. I continued my life. Now go back, fast forward back to me getting up, and literally, I can say this out loud without having a problem with it. I believe I probably had a nervous breakdown, or I was incapacitated for a while in my faculties, whatever that means to anybody. The biggest thing that I know is that I needed rest. And you cannot take care of anybody else. I don't care about all these things that you do. You cannot take care of anybody else any better than you take care of yourself. So that focus had to begin to shift. Now my daughter is grown. I'm married for 25 years, and I still do a multitude of things, but it hasn't been that one thing or two things that is just absolutely the thing that I want to do. So in 2021 or 20, maybe it was 20, my husband and I started talking about solar. We started talking about, we've got to get this electricity bill down. And we did research and we studied. And so now we're in agreement. Yes, we're going to add solar to our home, but now who's going to sell it to us? Where will we get it? So, you go on these searches and you find people to come and give you proposals. They take your information, they give you proposals, tell you how much it's going to cost, how many panels you need, all that good stuff. So we finally landed at the table with a solar energy representative, and we talked it out, we understood it, and we bought solar. And let me tell you, during that process, there was just one thing that kind of went off track between the sales rep and us. And that thing caused me to know that homeowners are vulnerable when it comes to solar energy reps out here, knocking on doors, talking to you about solar, making promises, perhaps telling you how it works, what you're going to get. Maybe they have perks. You may understand it, you may not. But I knew from that experience that homeowners needed an advocate. We needed someone who would show up and tell us the truth and educate us about solar energy, because it's not a new thing. Solar energy goes back for years, 70, 80 years. You've got solar panels that are at space stations in space. And, they go up and they do maintenance, change them out, but they've been working for years. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when people sit at your table and they don't tell you everything that you need to know to make the best decision. Now, it could be that they are not telling you everything because they don't know everything. Sometimes that person who knocks on your door, that's their job. They are hired to come into neighborhoods, knock on your doors, talk to you about solar. If you say yes or if you seem interested, then they take those leads back to whoever the salespeople are in the company. So those door knockers, a lot of times, are just generating leads, but they could be the salesperson. So here's what I want you to hear me say. The story that I told you earlier about me and passion and living life on purpose, during that experience, I was pushed out to sell solar. My passion is solar energy. I love it, but it found me. I was never looking to sell solar energy, to sell solar panels, to have a solar energy company. I was never looking to be an owner of a solar energy company or a founder or any of that. We just wanted panels so that we could reduce or eliminate our electricity bill. But I tell you what, I am so happy and grateful that now what I am doing in sharing information about solar energy and educating homeowners just like you about solar energy, how it works, if it's right for your home, if you can really afford it, is your roof, in good enough condition to support a system? Do you get enough direct sunlight? And what about the solar buyback? I am in a situation where my electricity bill comes in at zero, and let me tell you what, I love it. Do you hear me? I love not paying an electric bill because I am a solar energy producer. All of the energy that I use during the daytime, my panels produce. So, me, I am just like any other power plant, okay, that produces energy, and then they deliver that energy to our homes. And then there is a person in the middle who is your electric company. It doesn't matter what electric company you use, what utility company that sends you your bill every month, you know, they are receiving that energy from a power plant that is producing the energy. And then they're able to just bill us. That's what they're doing. They're billing us. So I said all of that just to get around to letting you know, don't give up. Do not be discouraged. And do not think that it is too late for you to discover your gifts, to discover your passion, to live your life on purpose, and even more beautifully, pay attention and allow your purpose to find you. Because when that happens, let me tell you, that is the true sweet spot. I used to hear people say, what is it that you love so much that you would do it even if you didn't get paid for it? What is it that you love so much that it is your profession? It is the thing that makes a living for you. Okay? What is that thing that you will do no matter what because you love it, you're connected with it, and you know it is the thing that you should be doing. It's for you. So I am a living witness here sharing with you today that it happened for me. And it is amazing. I spend a lot of time studying because what? You study to show yourself approved. And how are you approved? You are approved by knowing your information, by being a subject matter expert or whatever that is. But if you come to me with a question, then I've got to know how to answer you. If I don't know how to answer you, then I'll figure it out and we'll get back together. Now, somebody has said something here. Let me see if I can read that. Okay, I gotta get some glasses. Hold on, y'all. Show up on StreamYard. This is an example. Click. Okay. Oh, it's at the bottom. Can't post comments to some. I don't get that. I don't see a comment. It just says can't post. I don't see anything. Okay, here it is, Latoya. She says, does it affect you in the winter months when the days are shorter? Well, now let's see. Miss Latoya, yes, ma'am, it does, because here's the key. When we customize your system, we are customizing your solar panel system based on the usage that you are using now. So if you're using 2,000 kilowatts per month, then we're going to build a system that will match that and perhaps even provide a little bit more so that in the winter months, the days are shorter, but the sun shines or it rises. Maybe it's not shining, but it does rise every day. You may not get as much production in the winter months, but based on the production that you get all year long, it will balance itself out. So, to answer your question, yes, it does affect you in the winter months because the days are shorter, the sun is not shining as long, and there may be days when you cannot see the sun, which means on those days you are not producing as much energy as you produce on the days when the sun is just really bright and hitting those panels. But the key is that if I have done my job correctly, when I evaluated your electricity bills and the needs for your home, I have built a system that will produce at least match and produce what you're using now and maybe a little bit more. Like in my situation, my panels produce 105%. So 100% should give me exactly what I was using prior to solar. And now that I have that little bit extra, it kind of pads it. And that's a really good question because now it matters how much energy you're sending back to the grid. That's called your overproduction. So look at it like this: during the daytime, when the sun is out, you're producing energy. That is the energy that you're using to run your household. At night, or when the sun goes down, now you are just like everybody else. You are pulling energy from the grid. Okay. And at the end of the month, when it's time to bill you, they look at the amount of energy that you've pulled from the grid, and they also look at the amount of energy that you have sent back to the grid. So if you have sent back more than you used, and you have at least a 1-to-1 solar buyback program that you're involved in, or your buyback program is enough to cover, then your bill will probably be very close to zero or minimal. Now, you've got two portions to your bill. You've got the energy usage, and that's what solar is all about: producing enough energy to cover the energy that you are using and pulling from the grid. But now there's another portion of your bill that is comprised of base charges, delivery charges, and taxes and things of that nature. electric companies will allow your overproduction to cover everything, and some may not. You may produce enough energy to cover everything, and if you don't, then you can still expect a very small bill. But for myself, had I known what I know now, I probably would have offset a little bit more. She said, put your glasses on. Ah, okay. Okay, I was thinking about the fact that it stockpiles. Well, when you say stockpile, I'm thinking that you probably mean that you're producing energy and you store it. Now, that's where a battery comes in. If you have a battery connected to your system, then the energy that you produce in the daytime will go into that battery and be stored in that battery instead of sending it to the grid. So, if you have a battery backup system, then yes, it will stockpile. It will be stored in that battery. So now at night, the energy that you're using, you're pulling it from your battery and not the grid. So at the end of the month, they don't have anything to calculate for you. So the bill that you get, maybe 20, maybe 30, could be as much as $50. It just depends on what that electric company's base charges are, what the delivery charges are for the energy, and what your taxes are. And that will give you that bill. So that was a very excellent question. Thank you very much. I love the idea of being connected to a battery. I don't have one yet, but I am working my way to that because, from that perspective, then I really won't have to worry about the rising cost of electricity. Because listen to this, when you think about solar, any of you can go right now and get your electric bill, put it in your hand, take a look at it. And if you go line by line, you can kind of see how much you're being charged per kilowatt. In today's market, it is probably anywhere from 9 cent, could be as much as 14 to 18 cent per kilowatt. So you look at that. That's what's going on today. But if you were to go back 2 years or 3 years or even 5 years and look at old bills, you will notice that price per kilowatt then may have been 5 cents, 6 cents, some even four. So when there was a time when, we had one electric company, that was TXU. Then they decided to break up this monopoly. So Texas now is an unregulated or deregulated industry where electricity is concerned. So that is the reason why we have so many electric companies to choose from. But the way that they trained us, and when I say trained us, the industry, the utility companies, they trained us because they came out here in a deregulated market and they were in competition with each other. So what we were looking for was the cheapest bill. And how do you get the cheapest bill? It's the lowest price per kilowatt. So this company had 3 cents. This company had 5 cents. This company had 6 cents. But you sign a contract for 2 years, 1 year, maybe even 3 years or whatever. But whenever that contract is up, then you have to renegotiate. Really, it's not a negotiation because the price is set. You either want them or you got to keep shopping around until you find someone who is offering a price per kilowatt that you will agree to. Okay? They trained us that way. So I said all of that to say, in today's market, if the price per kilowatt is, let's just say it's 10 cents, then I have a customized solar panel system on my house that produces the energy that I need. And yes, I finance the solar panels, so I am going to pay that finance bill, but my electricity is not going up anymore, because every month I know what I'm paying, even though in 12 months, when it's time to renew, okay, the price per kilowatt may be more than I paid last year. But if I do a good enough search and I find a company that offers what they call a dollar for dollar buyback, which that's kind of going by the wayside. But what that means is that they charge me 10 cent per kilowatt, okay? And then all of the energy that I send back to them, they buy it back at the same 10 cent per kilowatt. So that's how I'm able to zero out, because I usually have more than enough to cover my energy. And then I also have enough to cover what? The base charges, the taxes, the delivery charges, which makes it a really good deal. But in in real time, I pretty much know what my bill is going to be every month, because I have paid 4 energy bills in 3 years. And the reason for that was in 21, we had a cold snap. My father lives with me. He's 85 years old. He was a little bit colder than we were during that time. So we allowed him to use an electric heater. Now, electric heaters and some other appliances, they pull a lot of wattage. And that electric heater cost me, the first time he used it for 2 weeks, I got a bill at the end of that month for $42. Okay. Then, okay, I wasn't quite ready to take it. He kept it for 30 days. Now I get a bill for $100. I'm like, nope, 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 we can't have this. I'm like, Pops, you got to put on some more clothes, get another blanket, do whatever you have to do, but I got to take this heater. Okay. So first bill, 42, second bill, $100. Then this year, okay, remember in February when we had almost a month of cold? From January to March, we had cold weather. Then we had ice, we had snow. I got a bill for $24 in January. And then in February, uh, the ice, the snow set on my panels for a week, at least a week, and it was cloudy almost the whole month. So there was no production. For the first time in 3 years, I paid a bill for $292. Of course, it was shocking because I had not paid a bill for so long, but logically, you could understand it because there was no sunshine, and the panels only produce when there is sunshine. And you do it right, if you do it right, if your system is designed properly with you in mind and what goes on in your house, we can pretty much get you to that. And especially if you consider a battery where your overproduction goes into your battery and then you're able to pull from the battery at night instead of the grid, then you just have to understand and realize that you're going to get a bill, but it's going to be for that electric company's base charges, the delivery charges, and the taxes. So that's realistic. Um, I hope that this is making sense to you. I understand that. I love it. I don't see anything. Oh, we're about to go. I got to leave y'all. Is that what you're telling me? I got a comment. Oh, okay, it's at the other. I don't see it. I'm sorry. There's nothing down there. Forgive me, y'all. Oh, she made it bigger for me. Latoya, thank you so much. How are the calculations of what type of panels you may need based on, i.e., square footage occupancy? Well, every month when you get your bill, it tells you how much energy you are using. So if I come and sit with you and talk about solar, and you agree that you want to go to the next step, I'm going to ask you, okay, Miss Latoya, I need a copy of your electric bill. So I will take that bill and I will go through, I will look at how much energy you and your family, it doesn't matter how many people are in your house, if it's one person or if it's five people, if you all are using 2,000 kilowatts every month, then I will take those numbers and calculate your usage for a full 12 months. Then I put it into a system and it will come back and tell me how much I need to build your system. So you may need a 10 kilowatt system, you may need a 12.5 kilowatt system, but it's all based on what you're already using. That bill gives me everything that I need to know. It's not necessarily square footage or anything like that. It is just purely how much energy are you using? If it's 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 a month, then that's how I'm going to start my projections. And then when I come back to you, I can show you, okay, you're using, let's just say you're using 20,000 kilowatts per year. Then I know that I need to build you a system that is probably 20 or 20.5 or 10.5, because every system is customized based on that, based on your usage history. Now, here's another thing. That's a good question, which will lead me to this. If you have solar panels on your home, your neighbor has solar panels, you go around the corner, another neighbor has solar panels, you might be in conversation with them. And you all might start talking about, well, how much did your system cost? And you realize that you paid a lot more than your neighbor, one of your neighbors, or whatever. You cannot compare cost of systems, because the system is not like buying a dress off the rack or a pair of shoes. Those systems are customized based on the electricity needs for that family. So you may have four adults in your house, and maybe the four adults in your house are not very busy people. They don't do a whole lot. And so you may only be using 800 kilowatts. Like last month in June, my family only used 717 kilowatts. That's not really a lot for that month. That's what we use. And so far this month, July, as hot as it has been, you expect us to use a lot more. But we went from 717 in June to about 894 kilowatts for July. So now that I have your bill and I'm looking at your history, we know that there'll be a couple of months in the summertime that your usage goes up quite a bit, and a few months in the winter where your usage will go up a little bit more. So all of that balances out, because you will have times when you're not using that much. So that's kind of how it works. But just know that all of the systems are customized for you, and that's a good thing. It's a very powerful thing, because I'm gonna tell you, I love it. Now, also, Latoya, just to let you know, I've been in my home for 13 years. It was a new home when we moved into it. The first 2 years, everything was good, no problems. Then my air conditioner started to act up. So after 2 years, we had to add Freon. Okay, then it'll run another 2 years and we're adding Freon. It seemed like every 2 years we were adding Freon. Okay, now we've got Freon going, and we would still have to keep the thermostat around 74, 73 in the summertime to be comfortable. Well, this year, when it came time to start this air conditioner, oh my gosh, one day I felt the air come out and I could tell, here we go on this Freon kick. But this time, they were not able to add Freon. It just wouldn't hold it. It had given out. So we had to buy a new air conditioning system, everything. We did that. And listen, now it is so cold that it's just crazy, which means that it's 90, 100 degrees, and we are comfortable at 77 and 78 degrees, which means that our system, air conditioning system, is a lot more efficient now than it had been. So we don't have to take it down so low. Can you imagine the difference in running that system at 73 or 74 versus 77 and 78? So that means that we are not using as many kilowatts as we would have been using if our air conditioner were not efficient. So there are lots of things to consider. A lot of times when I'm talking with people, they're ready to go solar, but we want to evaluate a lot of things in your home. How about your windows? Are there any drafts? Are you losing energy in any kind of way? Is your attic insulated properly? Maybe you might just need some attic fans up there, and that might help a little bit. So if you're on the fence about whether or not you want to go solar, um, there are some other things that we can do to help make sure that your home is as energy efficient as possible before you actually go solar. So, and that is just a matter of sitting with someone who cares. I'm talking about me. I'm not talking about any other sales rep that you may speak to or any other sales rep that might sit at your table. I'm talking about me. I care because solar found me. And it is truly a passion of mine. It is a love of mine. And from that standpoint, I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that things are done right for you. So if you're not able to get solar due to renting your home or maybe being in an apartment, do you teach people how to read their bills? And oh my gosh, that's a great question. Yes, ma'am. I'm trying to find a place right now so that I can set up regular workshops to do these kinds of things. And not only when you understand how to read your bill, you understand the power that you really have to negotiate with the electricity companies. You can go on to their websites and look at their information, um, and look at your information and be able to know if what they're giving you is what you want. Most of the time, we are just looking for the cheapest thing. But this company may offer a lower kilowatt price, but their base rate might be higher. So it's one of those things that has to balance almost completely. But I'll tell you all, solar, it's a good investment because it does add value to your home. It will not, adding solar to your home will not increase your property taxes, but it will add value to your home. There are a lot of discussions in the real estate industry about whether it really adds value to your home. It does. When you're in a situation where maybe you are considering selling your home, an appraiser is going to come out. If you have panels, one of the first questions they're going to ask you is, do you own the panels or are you leasing? If you own the panels, his appraisal will include those panels as a part of the appraisal price. If you are leasing, then no value. Okay. And also, a lot of people, I won't say a lot of people, but there are people who do lease solar panels. Let me just share with you 15, 20 years ago, but definitely 10 or 15 years ago, um, when solar came onto the scene and people were wanting to go solar, there were not a lot of financial institutions that were funding solar loans. So, since that option to buy was not available at that time, then the solar company, whoever was selling you the panels, then they came up with the brainchild of leasing because what that meant. In most cases, this is a broad statement. I am not calling any names. I'm not doing anything except sharing information. So, those companies that lease, they actually get financing for the panels, for the system, and they, attach them to your roof and you are leasing them from them. So, that was a financial situation. But in today's market, you've got about 4 or 5 finance companies that are out here and that will finance solar for you. But if your question is, does it work? Is it worth it? We won't know if it's worth it. It does work, I will tell you that. But we won't know if it's worth it for you until we sit down at the table and actually take a look at what your needs are and what it is that we need to do to set you up. And that's the long and the short of it. Now, here's what I want you to start thinking about when you think about solar, or if you hear any solar conversations. Here it is. Ready? Understanding solar energy should not be complicated. Say it again. Understanding solar energy should not be complicated. However, there are lots of moving parts. My job is to help you understand the moving parts, how to connect them, how to make solar make sense so that when you choose to switch to solar, you will be assured that it will work because you will now know how to work it. It works if you work it. But the only way to work it is to know how. And that's what I'm all about. I'm here to teach you how to work it out. And that's it. When you find your passion, that's what this has really been about today. Although solar is my one subject matter, my goal, my desire is to be a subject matter expert, and the way that I continue to grow and become that is to study, study, study. I read everything I can about solar. I write about solar. I talk about solar. And in talking about solar, you all will ask questions that if I don't have any idea of what it's all about that you're asking, then that pushes me to go and learn and bring that answer back to you. Because remember what I said, my experience with solar, the salesperson who sat at my table was out of integrity on one point. The point had nothing to do with my solar panels, it had nothing to do with my contract, it had nothing to do with the production and how I have enjoyed solar. But I believe what people say. I'm very literal, and I expect you to treat me the way that I would treat you. And if you tell me something and I come back to follow up because you didn't follow up, and then it's an issue and you want me to back down, that's just not going to happen because I'm not that girl. I like a good fight, low key. I like a good fight. And what that means is that I will fight for you. And in saying that, I have had situations where people have gone solar, okay? They've signed that contract with the finance company. The contractor has arrived. They have installed the panels on their home. The contractor has gotten paid, and he abandoned the job. He abandoned the job before the job was finished. He left before that particular customer had permission to operate that solar panel system from the electricity company, from the provider, from the delivery source. So if you don't have permission to operate, it's just up on your roof, not doing anything. So now this person was paying the finance company because they signed papers contractually they are obligated to pay that bill, and they're paying the electric company. They're sending them a bill. Solar is on the roof, not doing anything. I've had a few situations like that. One I got involved in, it took us 18 months to solve the problem. But I'm here to say we did it. And it felt really good to be the one to understand the process well enough to take it to the level of solving. We got a solution. And part of it, you know, yes, I needed to know what I was talking about. I needed to know how to move. It took a lot of letter writing, and it took getting to the right people because, you know, they have gatekeepers and they don't want to deal with you if they don't have to. But what you do is you flood every avenue. You know, you flood the offices, you flood the owners' offices, the founders' offices. If they've got subsidiary companies, you let everybody know what's going on because most of these situations are kept very tight. You know, they're very tight, and not everybody in the company knows what's going on with every customer. But if you are the customer that can let everybody know that you've got a problem and you need some help, then eventually you will get it. But what's the key? You got to stick with it. Why was I able to hang in there for 18 months to help solve this problem? Because I love solar. I love it, and I do not want to see solar abused. I don't want the industry to have a bad reputation. A part of my being here is to help restore the reputation because it's already kind of bad. You ask the right people and they may cuss you out. They may have some really choice words for you, or you may knock on somebody's door in a neighborhood to talk about solar and they slam it in your face. But, you know, for me, I love it that much that I am willing to be one of the ones who comes forth to restore the reputation because I am a product of the product and I know how it works and I know that it will work if you work it. I can do this. See, I can do this and you can too. Whether what you do is something else, which I'm sure it is, but that was something for somebody. You can do this. And here's the key: just do it right now. Do it right now. And that, do it right now. Oh my gosh, we are getting close to the end. Latoya, was that her name? I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate those questions, and I hope that it was you got the answers that you needed and that you understand a little bit more. Anyone who would love to talk to me, listen, you heard me. I didn't say like to talk to me. I said love to talk to me. Anyone who would love to talk to me, you can reach me at 214-497-7440. My name is Robin Fahmy. My company is Better Me, Better You, Solar Energy Sales and Project Management. I sell solar panel systems and I stay connected with you throughout. Even if you call me 5 years from now, I will still talk to you about your system if we need to do that. And I'm just available for the rest of my life because that's how much I love solar and that's how much I love my life. I am so, so, so happy and grateful to be sitting here in front of this camera, you know, just talking about the passion that found me and what I love and being available, you know, to you. Homeowners need an advocate, and I want you to know that you have that in me. And also, for any of you who are listening right now, please share. Please, please, please share. More people need to know that we are here, that we are available. If I have said anything that touched your heart, then maybe it'll touch somebody else's. The person that you share with may be the person who needed to hear the story that I told at the beginning. So I appreciate you for sharing. Of course, we are live on Facebook every Thursday, 6:30 to 7:30, and we're also live on YouTube. Um, so you can go there and subscribe and like. I think that's what they say. Now y'all need to make me a star. You need to tell everybody you know to go there and subscribe and like. Okay? Because it's time for me to show up. I'm here, but I need your help to let everybody else know that I am here. I think I don't see the clock, but I think we're coming to an end. But it has been my absolute pleasure. Go and live your life, pay attention, and allow your passion to find you. Calm down, keep it right, find your rhythm, and do your thing. Thank you so much, and I shall see you again, God willing, on next Thursday. Remember, it works if you work it. Bye.